Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What a game. What a game it is going to be tonight with Chelsea taking on Tottenham after Chelsea dismantled the chicken on the basketball club at White Hart Lane or the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium or the Shite Hart Lane or the biggest toilet bowl in the entire on the entire planet. So it's the stage is set for the return game at Stamford Bridge. Is there revenge to be had? We'll have to wait and see. I'm planning to do a watch along for that game later on. So that game kicks off in a little over half an hour. So I want to try and be quick and sweet and straight to the point with this preview. And with Crystal Palace, you thought I was probably going to say, what a game. You probably thought I was going to say Crystal Palace versus Man United. I mean, hey, it could wind up cracking up to be the best game of the weekend. Who knows? But one thing I do know is that Manchester United, watching the way Palace have found resurrection, I'm telling you, it is probably the worst time all season long, the worst time from all season long to end up playing this Crystal Palace team. A Palace team that's resurgent, a Palace team that's got quality, a Palace team that's got fight, that's got hunger, and a Palace team that I don't think has been more confident this season than it has been recently. So, you know, the odds have very surely been stacking themselves up against us here. So Manchester United, we can't catch a break, we can't find consistency, we can't stay, you know, rooted to the spot. We can't find direction. So it we've seriously got a very very tough game on Monday night, and do I think that Man United has what it takes to beat this Crystal Palace team? I think that there is a day, there is a world which Man United win. There's also a world in which Man United get absolutely destroyed and like hold 3, 4, or 5 or something crazy like that. There is also a world out there where Man United do the same. They go out and they win 4, 5 nil or something ridiculously stupid like that. But we're talking real here. We talk the real world, and the real world suggests that this is going to be one of those games. It's probably going to be sat in the favourability of the home team, because let's be honest, Palace are by far the more informed team than Manchester United at the moment. A team that knows what it wants more than Manchester United, and just ultimately the whole setting of the club is much less tumultuous than Manchester United at the moment. Because I mean, it's all it's a bit like that drama show that you just can't quite put down the TV remote. You've got to go to bed. It's like 2 a.m. in the morning. It's like you've got work later on that same morning. It's just like, I've got to go to bed. But man, this story's just so captivating. You've got to stay up to see what else happens. It's like Manchester United news at the moment seems to be doing that to people. So there's plenty happening, to say the very least. Big up Quentin Tarantino. I hope you're well. I'm doing very, very well. Just got off the phone from my agent. Going to do another film or something. Just felt like it. Just a movie on the side. I popped my tuxedo away. Thought I'd bring the turf down a little bit on my head as well, not to make it look like I've got as much of a midlife crisis going on up there. But trust me, when this hits midlife crisis, I think it's going to be a crisis for everyone who can spectate it. They'll take one look at me and say, "What the ever loving fuck," and run the other way. But yeah, if anybody doesn't really know what the hell is going on with that, as to why I'm being called Quentin Tarantino, well, If you go over to Early Doors Football TV and look up yesterday night's show, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, episode 16, go back and check it out. Smashing show. The thumbnail, you'll notice on that thumbnail that my face is doing some absolute madness, genuine madness, crazy stuff. Literally, my forehead's like, hold on, let me give you a scale as to what my forehead was like. It could be something like this little guy right here, yeah, the guy that's supposed to be popped on a stand outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, supposedly, allegedly, as a legend of the club, despite not winning anything significant. There he is, Sir Harry Kane, with his ginormous six head. That and my face was also quite scrunched down. So yeah, it was a sight to behold. Very much a sight to behold. You know what? He can stay up there. If anybody asks why, then I suppose that we'll leave out context just to make them question for longer. But yeah, I apparently looked like Quentin Tarantino. So yeah, that's where that comparison's come from. And so on and so forth. I must now fulfill the role of the Quentin Tarantino lookalike. So yeah, I must study his ways. I must study his lifestyle. If he's pompous, I best be acting pompous. But yeah, that just depends on whether I can be really all that bothered to go that far. But I'm going 1-1 fuzzy. They're a team to watch. Crystal Palace, most definitely. I think Glasner's found a tune. He's found a tune with that Palace team, and they are firing. They've got some serious quality. Do you know what? I would like to see this Glasner team with, if it still kept a hold of Wilfred Zaha. Imagine that, as Zaha, Elise, Eze in that Palace team. Whoever's up top is feasting, absolutely feasting. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see just how our potential makeshift defence with Casemiro having to try and play as a centre back yet again, which I'm sure that's probably going to be the case. Although, speaking of centre backs, there is some good news in the department of our defence. Is that Martinez is back to training now. He's back training again, though probably not fully fit to actually getting involved in the squad for another week or two. He probably he may actually make it back for the Manchester Derby FA Cup final. Now that would be something, I'll tell you that. Get the butcher back in that defence. I don't think Varane's going to be around. He might actually be. He might be around. We'll have to see, but it'll be nice to have quite a few key players back inside the team, playing, bit of fitness under the belt, primed as much as possible for an FA Cup final. That would be nice. That would be a break or a silver lining in the cloud. People will still say we'll get slaughtered, whichever way you look at it. Maybe that may be true, but still, it would be something just to sort of, get a bit more excited about. But yeah, I think as far as this game against Palace on Monday night's going to go, I think it's going to be more so possession in the favour of the home team, more attacks, more chances, more work for our goalkeeper, Onana. Hopefully, Onana's not trying to be an agent for the opposition team, and maybe trying to get himself a one-way ticket to the transfer list, because maybe he wants to go back to Italy to go be a part of the Scudetto dreams, considering Inter Milan have practically walked Serie A. They practically walked to the title this season. So maybe he's feeling a bit nostalgic. Maybe he wants a bit of that pie. So, if he wants that, then by all means, go. We'll stick you on a transfer list in the summer. We'll sell you one and get someone else in who actually wants to be here, and not just want to be here, but actually not throw us out of competitions solely by their lonesome. that would be a nice change of scenery, wouldn't it? From Fuzzy to Dust was a good film. I know, I know. I didn't get paid for it though, Anthony. I still live in a box. I still live in a box room. What's that about? Paper thin walls, by the way. Paper thin walls. You can hear everything that goes on outside. And Jesus Christ, if people were awake last night, wow, that was something. Genuinely something with that massive thunderstorm. And it was funny though because it was weird. It was weird weather yesterday as well. It's like started off foggy, then it cleared up and got sunny. Then it started to rain and it looked muggy and horrible. On the way back, it felt like there was going to be a thunderstorm, but then it started. Yeah, it started to be sunny again, and I was like, well, okay. Well, at least the weather ends on a higher note. And then obviously me having a late night, I'll get to about 2:30 a.m. realise I can't sleep because there's flashing outside my window. I'm thinking, where has this thunderstorm come from? So yeah, apparently Paris had hail as well, like golf ball sized hail, which is a bit of a strange one, but you know, it's 2024. Random shit happens nowadays, like really random shit happens. So yeah, can't can't put a bet on one thing because you probably end up getting another. I went 2-2 in tonight's game, Chelsea versus Tottenham. Yeah, I think I believe I went with a 3-1 to Tottenham, to be honest, because I just feel like Tottenham, it's at the stage where it's like it's do or die for them, like genuinely do or die. They've got to somewhat hope that Aston Villa can drop points somewhere as well. But yeah, they'll want to try. It's essentially, if Aston Villa can drop points, they'll have a foothold into the Champions League spot. And yeah, to be honest, I think this is the beginning of a way into Champions League. They can't afford to drop any more points, so it's a massive game for Tottenham. Chelsea are just playing solely for pride's sake, literally just solely for pride's sake. We'll see if it's enough to get them across the line. But we'll have to see what happens there. I'll most certainly be running a watch along for it. So if anybody, Anthony or Early Doors, if you'd like in on the watch along later on, you're more than welcome to jump on if you wish to. Shall be an interesting game. I need to see if it's actually a televised program, because then if it is, then watch along it is. If it's not, then I probably won't be able to, because I want to see if it's running on this, which I'm sure it would be because it's a big game anyway. So that woke me up. I think it was 4 a.m. We had rain today. Yeah, it was a weird one because it was like it sort of came by for a couple of hours. I don't know if there's still another wave of it heading across the channel right now, but supposedly it is supposed to pave way for some of the warmest days of the year, which I suppose is to be expected anyways, because we are pretty much in May now. Summer is merely a month away, quite literally. It's probably about a month to 2 months away, but still. Big up Fuzzy. If it rained, I had no idea I was in Betty Bye land. Big ups to Early Doors Football TV. It did. It just all kicked off early this morning. Just really kicked off. Literally, there was like thunder strikes just a couple of hundred yards away from the house. It was madness. Literally enough to jolt everybody awake. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting watch. Another wave of thunderstorms. Let me actually have a look at this, because I can actually see roughly whereabouts the storm is essentially. And holy shit, yeah. So basically, Germany, north of Belgium, and also the Netherlands are completely caked in thunderstorms right now. Completely battered. That is ridiculous. But yeah, potential for the UK as well. I don't know if it's quite going to be as far south as this last one was, but anyways, it's electrical story for another day. But if you are interested in that sort of stuff, then do keep an eye on the weather. They're quite fun to watch, these thunderstorms. But anyways, guys, Crystal Palace. What do I think as far as the team goes? What are my score predictions for this game? God, is there ever a lot of different outcomes I can think for this game? I think the team, probably as far as the team goes, Burnley is probably not going to be, the team selection is not going to be all that different, to be fair. I think Rashford probably finds his way back into the team. To me, I've made my feelings very distinctively clear on Rashford. Is a guy that I don't really want to have representing the club anymore. I think he's sort of muddied the legitimacy, he's muddied the legitimacy of him being a part of this squad, but also being essentially the hand-picked golden child of Manchester United Football Club. Never has an academy graduate been worshipped or hailed more than Marcus Rashford has. So as far as him getting a way back into the team is concerned, whether people believe he's going to stay, going into next season, or whether he's going to find his way onto the transfer list this summer, I believe that if we can cash in on him this summer, we have to, even if it's a case that that the club don't want to, or the player doesn't want to. Supposedly he's refused to go, that he's said no, I'm going to stay here. I mean, the thing is that where I always believe that with actions you speak louder than the words. So he may be a man of PR statements, but the message that he cuts with body language and the discipline on the pitch is second to none. And that story he tells with those factors is one of disinterest, one of rather disrespect, one of try to think of the word, hypocrisy, one of hypocrisy, because it's very, very consistent with explaining his views about his pride in representing the club, his need and desire to perform for this club, and that he's a Manchester United born and bred player. He's trying to do all he can for the club, but then it's like, a guy that does that would much rather run himself into the ground and end up retiring early through tragic circumstances that he can't continue for the club anymore, than sit there not doing all the basic necessary work to actually deliver a performance and a result for his club. And to me, I'd much rather see someone's actually poured their heart and soul into performing for this club. You see, like Nemanja Vidic, a player that may not have been born as a Manchester United fan. He certainly made himself a legend in everybody's books, whether people want to say Virgil van Disney is better than him or not. For me, I still think Vidic is far and away clear than Virgil van Dijk. For me, Vidic was all about this. All of this is just a capsule to do the job, right? But servicing what goes on within here and within here, that matters a whole heck of a lot more to him. And you could see that with how he went about his business on the pitch. The kind of sacrifices you'd see to his body, bloody noses, bloody mouths, cuts on his head, cuts everywhere else in his body. It did not matter. You know, all of that stuff will heal over time. What won't heal you is having it written into a history book that you were a part of a team where you couldn't have given two shits about your team losing. Your name stays up in highlights, but not in the names of glory, but in the names of shame and failure. And that should be a massive kick in the bollocks to your pride. And that's where I think there's quite a few players in the modern game in general just go wrong. You know, I do believe that there is a whole instance that, you know, players in the modern day just don't really care about that sort of thing. If they get the paychecks, that's, you know, that's them sorted. They're fine. They're dandy. So, you know, it's culture. I'd say it's the cultures in sport nowadays that I do feel like that we've perhaps, you know, better, more knowledgeable heads should probably address. But the game is on Sky Sports main event tonight. Nice. I'll get that set up then in a moment or two. I'll want to get this wrapped up ASAP just so that we can ensure that we are ready for that tonight. Fuzzy, I read that Thomas Frank could be the United manager next season. Thoughts? Well, it's definitely a choice of manager if we want to say, well, players like your Harry Maguires, like your favourite player from a rival fan's perspective in Scott McTominay, if you're happy to see those sorts of players continue at the club, and maybe guys like Marcus Rashford would adore this type of manager as well. And I think for me, I wouldn't. I believe that there's still, it would basically be servicing or enabling prolonging issues at this club that have cost so much in so many different aspects, that if you say, well, for the sake of Manchester United moving forwards, we feel the best way about this is actually, we'll get rid of the manager, but the manager we bring in will be happier with these players, and that sticking with this squad is the idea in mind. And essentially, those players get not only another chance that they don't deserve, but then the problems that we experience today, they may come back to haunt us furthermore at future dates. Whereas if we try to stay the course where what we're doing now and just implementing change after change after change, and that the more you change, I know there's the saying that it's like with the more you change, the more things stay the same. With that being a subjective term, for me, I look at it like this. I believe that if Ten Hag stays and we sell most of this squad and bring most of the next season starting 11, there is way more players on the starting 11 team sheet as well as the bench than there was players from last season. I think we see a big improvement from Manchester United. I do. That's with Ten Hag as a manager. I think there would be an improvement. Now, do I think that means Ten Hag goes on to win trophies galore? Absolutely not. There's too much. There's too much that he'd need to prove from the manager side that he can go on and do that. I think that's where we would probably see maybe the job may end up being too big for him. But the fact is that it means that players that do deserve a second chance should they need one, right? The players that have not been here before, the players that aren't drilled on lackluster, performances and, on ridiculously high-paying contracts without any real ambition to their game. I think it'll be more beneficial in the long run. So that's my take on things. I don't know what everybody else thinks. I know everybody pretty much says, well, Ten Hag is a bum. So, yeah, there's not a lot of favourability. Um, yeah, definitely not a lot of favourability to rating the current manager at the moment. But, yeah. Evening all. Cheers, Fuzzy. I always appreciate what you do. Big ups to Sai. And that does mean a lot to me. The compliments, because it's I do find that in the modern world there's not enough complimenting going around. I think it used to be the case where it's like you could be in like secondary school, any positive compliment that you had for somebody, it's like, oh yeah, you're gay. It's like, no, come on, we're just trying to be nice. I mean, in the modern day that's definitely not the assimilated case, but yeah, I find that it's quite too few and far between. Just general compliments and just generally being nice to people. So I do appreciate that side, and I'm glad that you do appreciate what I do, and I, as content creator, appreciate you being here. So a big thank yous to you as well for tuning in every week. Evenings to Sai, 100%. Fuzzy, who your favourite United player, both past and present? Well, my most favoured Man United player. So my present day favourite, if I had to pick one, oh, probably Martin. I'd probably go with Martinez being my current day favourite player. Just as how discreet he goes about doing his business on the football pitch. He's like the quiet personality, but he's very hands-on, which I do really like about that about him. It's like a shorter, less vocal version of Nemanja Vidic, if there's any sort of comparison in terms of temperament and personality on the pitch. As far as past goes, there's a few players that I do resonate with. I mean, Wayne Rooney is a significant name that you always think about when you delve into the history books. Cristiano Ronaldo, I think, was the flair player that everybody was hooked on. It's just like, oh, he's our little Ballon d'Or winner. I think Dimitar Berbatov was a strange one, because it's like people hated it when he left the club, but now it's sort of like he's sort of come around a bit again, so people have just started to love him again as a Man United legend. I think it's harder to say any names further back than that. Ruud van Nistelrooy was another one, and Eric Cantona. Never really watched an Eric Cantona, but just looking at iconic moments, it's hard not to be a Man United fan and like and not like the player. So yeah, a couple of names, just to sort of resonate with there. We all like you, Fuzzy. Well, thank you very much, Anti-Habit. I like all of you as well. So yeah, big thank yous though to everybody that does support the channel. I do really massively appreciate it. Hello Hoppers and chat. Hello Jaminho. How are we doing? I best hurry up and finish this up so I start the watch along stream, because I'm meant to be doing that in a moment or two. But anyways, the team sheet that I'd probably go with, obviously, I'd probably want Bayendier in goal, because that guy's just an agent of chaos in the name of Onana. He'll try something. He will try something. That cheeky bastard will try something 100%. So yeah, there's that. But we know Ten Hag, Onana is his boy. He'll go with the same goalkeeper selection. Left back Dalot, I think Shaw still out for the rest of the season. I don't know if he's somewhat back in training yet. I think we'll have Maguire, Casemiro back line again, with the Wan-Bissaka at right back. think Mainu, Casemiro, no, not Casemiro, Mainu, probably Ericsson. Maybe Mason Mount as well, by the way. I think Mason Mount was in contention for the matchday squad against Burnley, but has since still been on the recovery. And I think he should be more or less fit for this game against Palace. So possibly Mason Mount starts in there, but I think it's going to be Ericsson next to Mainu. In front of them, Bruno Fernandes. Of course, the captain can't really be dropped. And I think probably ends up being Rashford on the left. Garnacho probably moves out to the right with Højlund up top. If it's not with Rashford in the team, if Rashford's gone, goes back to being on the bench or something, then it's probably going to have Garnacho on the left with Antony playing on the right. So that's basically the team. As far as the prediction goes, I'm thinking a 1-1. I don't really see how Manchester United, actually get a win out of this game, especially with all that goes on with the Manchester United squad at the moment. But I think it's one of those where we'll still somehow snatch something out of it, despite being quite strong underdogs in how this game is setting up. So, for me, 1-1, same prediction as Anthony Herbert. I think there's a lot more people favouring a Palace win, though. So there is that to look into. We'll have to see what happens. There's a whole weekend of football to go before we actually get to that, as it's a game on Monday night. There's a long weekend if you're a Manchester United supporter. I like Cantona, rated him highly. I'll quickly finish up on these comments before I finish up the stream and start the watch along for tonight's game. Favourite United player of all time is Scott McShay, and its current is Haram Rapat. The Chelsea bench is effing crap. I haven't seen the team sheets for tonight's game. Schmeichel was decent, but also liked Cole and York partnership. Yes, Cole and York partnership in that Champions League, as I think it was the run-ups to that memorable night against the Bavarians in Barcelona. I think it's Juventus as well. That was on the it was in like the semis, and I think it was Keane, Roy Keane at the time, ended up getting himself suspended for that final. What a Champions League campaign that was as well, by the way. I heard Johnny Evans trained during the week. He might be back. Possibly. He might make it back onto the bench. I'm not sure about starting, though. Andy Cole was amazing at Bristol City and then signed to Newcastle for 1.75 million. How much do you reckon they would have gone in today's game? No clue whatsoever. Probably ended up being about, 30, 40 million. But yeah, it's what it is. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching the match preview for the Crystal Palace Man United game, Monday night football it is. Going to quickly finish up here and jump straight over to the watch along stream for Chelsea versus Tottenham. Literally pop over there. I haven't got a redirect per se, but just refresh on my homepage on the YouTubes, and I'm sure you'll see the stream pop up there. So anyways, thank you very much for everybody for tuning in for this one. Hopefully we'll see you over in the next stream in a minute or two. The game, I'm pretty sure, is pretty much just about kicking off. So yes, we'll see you back again in a bit. Take care, and see you in a tad.